Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the City of Hendersonville Finance Committee, April 23rd, 2024, close to 6 p.m. We try to be as efficient as possible, so we'll move through this agenda pretty quickly. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Okay,
So moved.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
We're here. Let's do it. All right. So in order to start the meeting, I'd like to ask Vice Chair Sassy to say a prayer for us. Okay. Thank you.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for our time here together today, Lord, that we're doing the good work of the city, Lord. We pray that you fill us up with your knowledge and your will, Lord. And we want to pray for Casey Lamar and her whole family, Lord, as well, you know what's going on there, Lord. And so we just lift them up to you. In your precious name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate that. Yes.
To get in for citizen comments.
Citizen comments. Yes, of course. No. Do we
Yep.
have a form
Yeah, it's actually on the,
right here?
it's right,
There you go. Chief.
right.
You're too late. Sorry.
I am.
We have
No.
not got to that part of the agenda yet.
All right. So let's go ahead and I need a motion to accept the agenda. Excuse me.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. So that's approved. Let's go ahead and look at the minutes of the last meeting, February 27th.
Move to approve.
Second, and minutes are approved. Oh, we got it. Let's do
Sounds
it.
good.
All right. Now we have public comments. We just got in right under the wire. What I'd like to do is read this right here. And this is the guidelines for public comments, if you don't mind. The same as always. Speakers must identify themselves by name and address. Public comments shall be limited to 5 minutes per individual, which time is not transferable to other speakers. All comments are to be directed to the presiding officer, not to aldermen, city staff, or other members of the public. Comments must address issues, not individuals or personalities. Personal attacks shall not be tolerated. Comments may support or oppose particular issues or measures, but the motives of those with differing views shall not be questioned or attacked. Malicious comments will not be allowed. Speeches for or against particular candidates running for public office shall not be allowed. Thank you. Mr. Mooney?
Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I just want to support the resolution on increasing the supplemental pay for the paramedics.
What is your address, sir?
971 Cherry Grove Drive. I live on the wrong side of the railroad tracks, so to speak, okay? In that all of the emergency services to me are on the other side of the railroad tracks, okay? I live in Millstone, and the nearest one is over on Station 5. And if there's a train or anything else that gets to me, it's a difficult situation and things are delayed. Therefore, whenever they get to me, and particularly at my age, okay, I would sure like to have the very best of the medical treatment that we could have on the fire truck when it arrives. I know that most cases that I watch around the city, the fire truck is the first one to arrive and the ambulance is the second one to arrive because there are fewer ambulances than there are fire trucks in the city. And so they're further apart in the city, and mine probably closest one is at Station 3 on Bonita Parkway. So it's several minutes after the fire truck gets there that I get the ambulance there. So for the neighborhood and for myself, I would sure like to be treated by the best trained person that the city can make available for that situation. And in this case, it would be a qualified paramedic. So I want to encourage the committee and the council to support the increasing the supplemental pay to the fire department for those that want to qualify and do qualify as a paramedic, so that we increase our medical services to the people of the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mooney. Were there any other? No one else signed up? Does anyone else speak? Okay, we'll go ahead and close public comments. Let's move. I need a motion to move to ordinance and resolutions.
Move to discuss ordinance 2024-07.
Let's do that. Reading of ordinance 2024-07, an ordinance amending Hendersonville's municipal code, Title 4, Chapter 3, Section 4-303, 4, relative to increasing paramedic certification pay for public safety employees. You want to go ahead
So
and
moved.
second? Let's open up for comments, please.
You're looking at me because I'm the sponsor of that.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Miss Collins, thank you.
so we've been through this previously, and as far as I recall, both of you were at the meeting when I spoke about how this came to fruition for me because I get a lot of, I think I get probably a disproportionate amount of complaints about the ambulance taking a long time, perhaps because of the issue Mr. Mooney talked about. So at first I said, well, that's a county issue. But then when you start having too many calls, you say, okay, I need to be the one to call the county commissioner and figure this out. And then when it gets beyond a certain point, you start thinking, there's got to be a workaround that doesn't involve trying to control the county government, insisting on them investing millions. It would take millions for them to decrease their response time by 2 minutes. And frankly, we would be asking them to disproportionately serve Hendersonville over the rest of the county, and that's not my intent either. So the workaround for me is for us to have more paramedics on the fire department because we are typically getting their 2 minutes. Who knows what the typical is, but their average response, our average response, there's a 2 minute spread. So if we're there on average 2 minutes ahead of them and we have a paramedic, granted they don't have all of the equipment that there is on an ambulance, but there's, with that increased level of training, where our citizens who are in a crisis moment are receiving better pre-hospital care, and that will result in better outcomes. And I cannot fully explain why we only have 8 paramedics when we offer supplemental pay for it, which seems like a good deal to me, but the training does take 2 years. So I think that is probably, when the individuals are looking at it, the pay versus the investment of their time required to get that supplemental pay is not a good trade-off.
Right.
And certainly there may be other obstacles as to why the individual firefighters are not choosing to pursue their paramedic pay, but this is the tool we have in our belt. We can increase that pay and I think motivate more people to pursue the advanced level of training, increase the quality of pre-hospital care, and therefore increase the medical, improve the medical outcomes for our citizens. And the proposal, it seems like a big jump to an individual's salary. And certainly if you think about it in terms of how that might impact their pension and all of that through a 30-year career, I think it's really significant. But from our perspective, from our government, from our budget, it's not super significant unless you're the one who needs the medical attention.
Right.
And then I think the cost versus the value is there.
Right. That's very well said. I tend to agree with you regarding, I like the way you made a workaround. I mean, I like that we've got a creative avenue to improve times, to improve services, rather than just waiting on someone to do something. I commend you for that. And I'm glad Alderman Goodwin's here, because in the last time we had a finance meeting, we discussed the resolution to apply for assistance to firefighters grant. And in that grant, it has will fund in-house EMT, advanced EMT and paramedic trainings. And so that's going to reduce our costs.
If I'm not mistaken, and Chief Bush can correct me,
Yeah.
that grant is 100% right. There's no cost to the city
The
on
safe,
that grant.
so there's 2 different grants that we've applied for at y'all's permission. Was the SAFER, which is staffing for adequate levels of service, and then the AFG. The
The
AFG
AFGs
is the one that includes the paramedic and EMT in-house
Yeah.
classes.
And that's 100%. Right?
Well, yes, the SAFER grant is 100%. The AFG is, I don't have it in front of me, I'm sorry. I want to say it's 80-20, 80% federal government, 20%. And we have partnered with Gallatin and Goodlettsville to share costs that. So Goodlettsville will help fill some of the seats. Gallatin will help fill some of the seats. So it won't cost the city. We're going to pay the money up front,
Sure.
but then Goodlettsville and Gallatin would pay the city back based on what students they put in those classes. And you have 2 years to execute that. So if we're granted that grant from the day it starts, when we're granted that, we have 2 years to get that money spent, which would mean consecutive classes. We've already talked to Ball State. We've got those classes lined up. All we got to do is simply have the mayor or Jesse sign a contract. Since it is a contract, they have to sign it. But we've got scheduling laid out. We already know what we're doing with that. And it'll be a piece of cake if we are selected for that grant.
I want to add that for me was kind of the final motivation that I needed to try to do something about this, because we only had one firefighter sign up for the paramedic class.
And it's interesting you mentioned that, because I did just man on the street kind of thing, know a firefighter who works in Gallatin, know a firefighter around the area. Just because we're out there, we meet them. I asked this one, and they said, if the training is offered, are you interested in the training? But this firefighter said, no, that's not his gig. He just wants to be a firefighter.
Yeah.
And
some of them certainly may not be interested
Yeah.
in the medical aspect or the added responsibility. So for those that are on the fence, I'm hoping to motivate them with money.
a carrot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have any more signed up other than the one?
Not right now. So Gallatin has 5 that they've spoken for. We have 1 inside of our agency. We were hoping to get 12 out of everybody, because then Ball State was going to host a paramedic class just for the fire service. Now these folks are going to have to apply, which they'd have to go through Ball State anyway, but they'll be in the mix with everybody else. So we were hoping to get enough to fill 1 class of paramedics, but we did not meet that right now. Now that could change by the time this gets resolved, and going forward with the AFG, if we're selected, more folks may come forward and want to be a part of that. And that's our hope.
These must be professional firefighters, correct? They cannot be volunteers.
That's
take
correct.
part.
For those organizations, yes.
Yes,
For those
okay.
3, us, Gallatin, and Goodlettsville.
Okay, great. All right, thank you. The other thing I noticed in here, it has this, correct me if I'm wrong here. It says a firefighter or certified police officer may receive either EMT or paramedic pay, but not both. Do we have certified police officers who are EMTs?
We did at one time. I'm not sure if we still do, but I know at one time we did have some, yes.
That's interesting. I didn't
Right
know
now,
that.
I know that answer.
There's
And
one.
through
that I
my-
know.
Well,
Are they one of the 8?
I was told that there were not one.
Okay.
There was not one, but there's one who's a firefighter, but he serves with the police on the SWAT team.
So Daniel,
So there's a crossover.
Daniel
And I
Bush
had it
is,
confused and probably told you it was a police officer, but he's not.
I think there is one.
he is a career firefighter, but
Yeah.
he's the first ever SWAT medic
Okay.
for the police department, and he
Awesome.
trains with both places. And he is a paramedic on the SWAT team, because they need that for the what ifs. If someone's to get shot, an officer to get shot, that would be the focus of that paramedic. Just like in the community, right? You're offering a better level of service.
I forgot also that Alderman Garza wants to be a co-sponsor, so. if we
Oh,
should-
yeah, absolutely. You bet.
I'd like to be a sponsor as well.
But that, the
Anybody
police,
else?
the police have that same opportunity
You too?
as well.
Why not?
Tamara, you want to be a sponsor?
Mr. Mooney would like to. say.
Um,
So all, what was I wrote? So all 3 of you.
I like the way this is, and now we're coming up into budget. Is there any objection to waiting and putting this in the new budget year? Instead of doing it now,
No, there's not.
there's
No.
not. Okay.
No, it's really a splitting hairs at this point.
That's kind of what I thought.
To be frank,
Sure.
when I spoke with Lance about this, I didn't realize that I would be missing the last Public Safety Committee meeting,
Okay.
which pushes it back a month.
Okay.
So, it's like 2 paychecks for the people
Yeah, by the time-
involved. So it would need to be amended at BOMA. You can't amend it in
Sure,
committees.
sure.
So
So we could
we can amend it.
forward it with the recommendation, and then request at that time be added to the,
You can
2020.
include that in your report tonight, that
Okay.
it's a positive, if you vote such, a
wanna
positive
write it for us?
recommendation, and just say with the caveat that we'd like it to be in the new budget.
In the new budget, in the
Mhm.
2025 budget.
And
Yes,
now
sir.
the 2025 budget will be
Yeah.
whatever the mayor proposes, but
Okay,
there can be amendments made
Right.
at BOMA if it's not included in his recommended budget.
There's
okay.
a workshop coming up May the 2nd that you could make that proposal, correct? For discussion for that, if they so choose.
Yeah, we can
We
change it
we
at
can't,
that
we can't
workshop.
amend it. We can suggest it.
Yeah, yeah,
The
no.
Mayor can choose to put it in.
Right, right.
Well,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
we do this where we, I think, if we do this where we change the pay schedule, then it
Mhm.
must be
Then it
in
has to
the
be.
budget.
Mhm.
Right.
So it's not really a budget amendment at that, you
It's-
can either amend the budget or you can have an ordinance to change the pay schedule,
So,
so.
If this
either way,
passes,
Same thing.
yeah, if this passes through committee and then BOMA approves this, it will update the pay schedule. There will also have to be an amendment to next year's budget to accommodate because the increased pay is not included in the dollars that are in next year's budget.
Is that correct? Or did
I
you?
thought the mayor would then kind of have to
Okay,
include it, but I don't know, I mean.
All right.
Because we haven't had first reading yet. so
no, we
technically
haven't.
he
So we
could
got
make
2
changes,
readings to
right?
do,
Yeah.
but this comes out of budget or comes out of finance tonight.
Yeah, I think that the special call finance meeting to see the ordinance is
Mhm.
before this would actually be seen
Mhm.
at BOMA.
Okay,
So,
so
Yeah, so,
what do you think, Jeff?
I recommend we vote on this to approve with the condition that it be included in next year's budget. My issue is, like you said, the training is 2 years. We're in budget season now anyways. I want to be able to see the full budget. Like if we make a decision now on this and approve it, it has lasting impact. It has
Mhm.
lasting consequences for our budget. So I want to be able to see the whole thing together with this wrapped up into it, but I fully support this. I just want to see it all together.
It says no budget adjustment is needed for the current fiscal year. Is that just now?
If
Okay, gotcha.
If
I
you
gotcha.
guys voted to do it now and implement the money, of course, it's got to go through the readings, right? Through the board readings.
Right.
So let's just say a month from now it passed.
Mhm.
The money's in my salary and budget and benefits line item
Mhm.
for open vacant positions that's been used for other departments.
Sure.
For promotions and new job descriptions. And that money's there, so it would be no impact to the current budget.
I gotcha. Not the 2025.
But it would impact future budgets.
Correct.
so-
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
and right now, that looks like that number, that 19,600.
19,200.
19,200.
Yeah.
I hope that in 3 or 4 years, well, realistically, I would hope in like 5 years that maybe that would be double. And be, but
Well, we'll have to keep up with trends.
Well,
Yeah.
let's see how many
how many we can get to
paramedics we
sign
get from
up.
this. Yeah.
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 I mean, a doubling it is
And
probably not very realistic.
I'd like to suggest as
Well,
well,
maybe.
I don't
We'll
know,
see.
Chief, if you'd be interested in this, but your HR department, how are we doing as far as advertising on that? Are we doing a full court press for this, or is this just kind of like it's out there on the websites and,
So currently, we haven't started recruiting for a new firefighter eligibility list.
okay,
We do have vacancies.
Yes.
Right now, I've got 2 senior firefighter vacancies. We're getting ready to do that testing in-house for promotions.
okay,
Then we're gonna follow that up with a new recruit list because
Yeah.
we can't get them in the academy till August anyway.
okay,
So we're gonna try to close that gap, have them ready to go to the academy by the end of August. The SAFER grant's not supposed to be done till the end of August, September. So those folks, if we get awarded those 6, will not be able to roll into the academy until February of next year. However, that would certainly be a tool that we would add to our advertisement, is that we're paying paramedics $6,000 as an incentive.
okay,
100% we would advertise for that.
wonderful, wonderful. All right, are you ready for a vote on this?
I am.
Okay.
Move to approve or move to recommend to BOMA positive
Mhm.
recommendation with the condition that it's in next
Year's budget.
Yep.
Okay, good. Second, let's all vote for it.
Aye.
Aye. Approved unanimously. All right, great. Thank you, Ms. Collins.
Thank you.
All right, next ordinance, reading resolution 2024-17, a resolution to apply for the local parks and recreation fund grant for Heritage Park. This is sponsored by Alderman Peterson. Looks like Mr. Gillies here. Can you speak to this?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
This one and the next item are both state grants that we have to have a resolution from our governing body to show the state that we're allowed to apply. So that's why it's coming to you all. It's been passed by the General Committee to BOMA, and now the Public Works Committee just recommended approval, and the Parks Board last night recommended approval. So everybody's gonna see this before it gets to you all tonight. The LPRF, first one, we'll take them one at a time. The
Thank you.
LPRF grant at Heritage Park. We are in a unique situation where we are currently wrapping up an LPRF project. Our hope is that it is complete on May the 15th. The applications for this are due May the 22nd. So we're trying to get all our work done so that we can punch the go button on our application. Technically, you're supposed to be finished with your current project before they'll allow you to apply for another one. We're going to kind of ask them for some grace period. All we're lacking is lights at the rugby park. So hopefully it won't rain solid for a month and we can get those up. But if we can get this application in, we will be allowed to use the value of the property as our match, and it's a 50-50 match. So with LPRF, you can use cash or the value of the land. We just got appraisal back updated on this property last week. It was 3.38 million valued, which is very unique for a state grant because it's unique that a city would own a piece of property that's valuable. So we will be able to complete a $3.38 million project at virtually no cost to the city.
Just collateral.
Yes.
Okay.
The land is our 50% match.
Right, right.
Now, what that does also, when you do those projects, you must put a notice of limitation of use on the property, which means in perpetuity, it will be for public recreation only at that point.
What is that again? Notice of what?
Notice of limitation of use, an NLU. If for some reason they come back and they say, you're not quite done with your project, we would apply next year.
Okay, great. Thank you.
These projects typically take about 3 years to get to the finish line. We just so happen to be able to do the one we're in about a year's time, which is because it's so straightforward and simple in terms of the projects.
Have we had the land appraised yet?
I just got it back last week, 3.38 million.
Okay. So this grant, we're actually not donating, but we're contributing the land to the project, like you said, right? And then the remainder of it would be all the improvements, to pay for all the improvements, is that right?
That's correct. The scope of the project, you can do the value of the land.
So who's going to manage the property? Is that city?
It remains our property.
Okay,
It's just that's for this type of grant and this type of grant only, you're allowed to use the land value as a match.
okay. Now, this is a big piece of property. Do we know what the ongoing maintenance costs are?
We'll have to have maintenance.
Yeah.
It'll have to be taken care of. It'll have to be mowed. You'll have utilities. I think that is a very important point of consideration as we have added several facilities over the past 3 to 4 years. We've added hockey rinks, a rugby facility. We've just opened a brand new greenway. And in that period of time, we've really increased our staff to maintain that zero. So we're at some point, there will be a breaking point where we have more stuff than we can take care of. Just being honest.
Yeah, and that's my concern.
I
with
think it
this.
has to be a concern of any project.
Any idea on how much this particular project is going to take to maintain? I mean, I know it's a big ask. It's a lot of.
How many acres is that?
It's this piece of Heritage Park is 35 acres, but keep in mind that the Friends of Indian Lake Peninsula are about to wrap up their state grant on the adjoining hill.
Mhm.
So we're about to have 38
That's over
acres
here,
of the
right?
hillside,
That's-
that's bike trails and
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff. As soon as they finish that project, they're going to donate it to the city.
Mhm.
And we're going to now have 38 acres of bike trails to maintain that we have
Here
not the
before now.
expertise to do yet.
Yeah.
We will learn to do it. But it's all a consideration. Total 73 acres will
Yeah.
come online
It's a
at
lot.
some point here.
It's a lot. How many acres is Drake's Creek Park?
Right around 60.
Yeah, so this is,
This is
10
bigger, but
acres
it's not
more.
near as much activity.
No, it's
You're-
not.
You're keeping this is more like Sanders Ferry Park in terms of, we'll have to mow, we'll have to clean shelters, we'll have to empty trash cans and clean restrooms. Look
Trim
for- Make sure
trees.
people aren't doing things they're not supposed
And
to be doing.
Do we, I understand we have a cooperation with the Corps of Engineers at Saunders Ferry Park. So, but we don't have a cooperation here. Is the Corps of Engineers helping any way, shape or form
The
with
Corps
the?
helps in no way.
I didn't think
with
so.
maintenance anywhere.
Yeah.
Not
You
in
have to
this
do
park, not in
this.
Sanders Ferry,
Yeah,
not in Mallard
not in any
Point.
one of the other parks. Okay, all right.
They're nice people, but they're not coming to mow the grass.
Yeah, you're on camera. That's right. All right. I was just curious about that, but this is going to be totally ours.
Correct.
All right. And who will manage the construction and build out of this park?
It'll be city staff.
City staff will. Okay. All right.
have we gotten bids for any of this yet?
Oh, no, we've done cost estimates, but.
Yeah, okay.
Until we know that we've gotten a grant, we're not gonna go to the lengths of putting out, making our vendor bid on anything. We
Great.
can kind of get, a ballpark.
Any other questions, comments? No? Okay. Let's go ahead and ask for we pass it with a positive recommendation, or do you need more time? Do you think we need more time?
I will say it, and
Yes.
it's in my ward, and I've had a lot of people that are really wanting this.
I love this project. I think this is fantastic. I would use it. But the unknown of how much it's going to cost to maintain this, and we're already stretched.
The unknown is always the worst.
I'm
part.
struggling to recommend this.
But I mean, the opportunity here is, I think it's a great opportunity for the city at this point to develop land. How long are we looking at? 5 years to develop that?
This will be a 3 to 4 year project, probably. Once you find out you get these grants, you have 3 years to construct it.
Okay.
I would say they won't notify these grant winners until winter of 2024 at the earliest. And it would take 2 to 3 years probably to construct.
I will
Yeah.
add,
Go ahead.
I attended the Parks Board meeting last night.
Yes.
And they had I guess you call it a town hall prior, and there's a lot of people that have put a lot of effort, a lot of groups, individuals that have raised money and done a lot of work out there. There's a
'cause-
lot of interest in it.
I'm going to recommend that we move this to BOMA,
Mhm.
but with a neutral.
It'll be a neutral
Recommendation.
recommendation. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and go for a vote.
Aye.
Aye. Move it to BOMA, the neutral recommendation. Looking at this, can I ask a quick question? We've already voted for it. We're moving it to BOMA. Are the impact fees going to be able to be used to help maintain this piece of property? Impact fees? No?
I don't
Probably
think-
not.
I don't
Probably
think
not.
impact fees
We
can
can't
be
use it
used
for
to hire
maintenance.
staff.
It's not maintenance, but it would, okay, all right, good. All right then. Thank you for letting me know. Appreciate it. All right. Let's look at the next ordinance. Reading a resolution of 2024-18, a resolution to apply for the State of Tennessee Recreational Trails Program grant to fund a bicycle pump track in Veterans Park, offered by Alderman Peterson. Mr. Gilly, would you like to
Sure.
bring that
This
to
is
us?
also a state grant. It's a different, it's the same family of grants through TDEC. Different category, recreation and trails program is considered what we call RTP grant. Those are 80-20 matches, which means the state gives 80, we provide 20. In this case, there's been a group from the bicycle community that's been coming to the mayor probably for, we decided 4 years.
I think I have to reconsider, I think it's 5.
5 maybe, coming to our office for 2 years.
Yeah.
The board of, I think the board of mayor, I know the public works committee, maybe the board of mayor and alderman, saw a presentation that's in your packet this time
Mhm,
to recommend that this type project go to Veterans Park.
mhm.
And they have raised in-kind donations and cash through community efforts and will be using the Rotary Club to take care of 20%. So the estimated cost of this project is around $450,000. That 20% would come from the community, and that's about all I have to say.
Okay.
This one, we are not currently building an RTP grant, so we know by May 22nd we will apply for this.
So I looked up these. I had no idea what a pump was. Pump bike,
Pump track.
Pump track.
bicycle pump track. I had no idea what it was, so I had to look it up.
They're cool.
And it is. It's pretty fun and neat. It looks exciting. You can't pedal the bike. You just like this to move, right? So this looks like a lot of fun. I do have a couple questions for you, Andy. Is this going to increase our insurance costs?
Probably.
Have we any idea? Have we looked into that at all?
I don't have,
How much
I
it
can't
is?
give you an estimate probably until it's a firmed up project.
Is it the nature of the activity that will, because it's more dangerous
Not
or something
necessarily
like
the
that? What is
nature of
it?
the activity, it's just adding an asset.
It's the improvements.
Okay, all right, just the improvements, okay.
Do we have any other projects we've done recently that we've seen a increase in insurance costs that we could kind of compare and relate to? Or Jesse, do you know?
No, but insurance is going up across the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're not, I guess, asking for individual, our insurance is grouped together as a whole with all the
Yeah.
city assets.
Yeah.
So we're not actually dissecting.
So this is not necessarily going to trigger an increase.
I mean, it probably will.
It will be a small increase.
I would call it in the big scheme of our $1 million premium that we pay a negligible amount.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
a fraction of a percent.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'd anticipate.
I will say that the research I did on this showed these to be safe. But that there's a need to protect ourselves and set rules. So just making sure that we're clearly defining those rules. I mean, I know we got groups of people who are going to help us with that, right?
Yeah, we frequently meet with PEB, our insurance provider.
Mhm.
Whenever something like this comes up, we'll have them come out, do an assessment, and they'll give us a page of recommendations for signage or other policies to put in place.
Yeah, and they do that for every new property that we bring online. They come out and do
They
it.
even do older
Do a-
properties.
yeah,
We
they-
just had to put up 11 signs in Drakes Creek Park that says, if you park here, you may get hit by a foul ball.
Okay,
Would seem to be common sense, but apparently not.
that's right. I mean, it's not going to change any behaviors, but
So
interesting.
we didn't tell them.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Protecting ourselves more than anything. That's all the questions I have.
That's it. Does anybody else have anything they want to add? We'll go ahead and bring this to a vote.
Yep. I want to move to approve with a positive recommendation.
Second. Okay, and let's vote for it.
Aye.
Aye. All right, it's done. Unanimous. All right. That's it for the ordinances and resolutions. Other agenda item, sales tax analysis report. We have our,
All right. So first two items you have on this stack of papers are, the first one is our state
Can I get-
share
Can I get
sales.
another one?
Thought I handed them
Did I
to
get one?
the state share of the sales tax. We do have the amount for March. It is up a little bit compared to the prior year. We are on target with this to be, having our budget being a little bit over budget on that one. It's looking good. It's kind of on the same trajectory it's been the last couple of months. We do not have the March numbers for the local sales tax. I will email it out when we do have it. I guess it'll probably be Friday of this week or maybe Monday next week. We'll have the numbers for the local option sales tax.
So question for you on the local.
Mm-hmm.
We saw a big increase in January, which was actually December's numbers, right?
The numbers, yes, it was for the December receipts that we get paid in January. Plus, there was actually there was some businesses that were caught up a couple of prior months where they paid like 3 months and at a time. So there was a little bit of that there.
Wanted to true up before tax season.
Exactly.
And then February, we saw a significant decrease from the increase we normally see, right? Or
Yes.
expected, I guess.
Mhm.
Any relation why that is?
The December So the January receipts, a good portion of that large increase there was because we had a couple of larger businesses that trued up a couple of prior months. So they had 3 months worth of receipts for them instead of just the 1 month. So that was a bit of that discrepancy. Essentially, it was an August and a September payment that they caught up with the December receipts that we received in January. So we should have seen those earlier in the year and we didn't.
Okay. And you had mentioned before that you were going to be including or sharing with us like Costco numbers.
We
do
are
we have
not we are not allowed. I verified with the state we are not allowed to share individual businesses tax return tax dollars
Got it.
specifically.
That makes sense.
I can tell you that they have been paying. We've been collecting them. And they are included in these numbers that we're receiving.
But 4.6% up over last year. That's healthy, and I'm happy to see it because we weren't prior to January. It wasn't looking as good as we expected.
Yeah, it was looking a little bit bleak.
Yeah.
Early on.
So that's good to see.
Yes, sir.
That's all.
Excellent, thank you. All right, let's drift on to the hotel motel tax report.
Hotel motel tax report. For the month of March, we are up a little bit compared to the prior year, which is very very nice. I don't know if that's because there's I don't know if rates at hotels have gone up or if it's just that we happen to have extra folks staying in the hotels. We still have one hotel who isn't filling any rooms.
Yeah.
So
and it's probably partially the increase in the hotel tax that.
Yeah. I mean, the hotel tax, the increased rate went into effect in August, so we really only have 1 month that was at the old rate on here. But it's looking good on here. The returns, it's better. It's doing better than what I thought it was going to do with the one hotel not collecting. We're still under where we estimated to be for the year as far as our revenues.
Okay.
That's what happens when you have one hotel that for half the year is
Shut down.
not bringing in. Yeah, they're shut down.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Next one, investment earnings analysis.
Investment earnings, we're looking good now that we've gotten the majority of the property taxes paid. We have a little bit more money to put into our LGIP investment account. So the revenues are up in March. They will continue to be up over the next couple of months as well. And then, starting in like July, August, they'll start dipping back down again. We're on target right now to be just over that $1.5 million mark for our interest earnings.
Great.
Okay, next one, stormwater report, please.
The stormwater report, these revenues come in primarily in the same time as the taxes, since they're paid on the tax bill. Our collections are looking very good on here. We're going to be right on target with what we had anticipated. And then, the expenditures also we're right on. Any ending balance that's there at the end of this year will roll over. There's some continuing projects that are being done over there, so the expense will roll forward with any unused fund balance as well.
Right. Okay.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. And let's go ahead and briefly discuss our fiscal year budget 2025.
All right, so Jesse and I put together a presentation to go over this. We are going to go through it pretty quick because we have about 20 minutes to get through. That way we can, try to disseminate as much information as we can. This is the same version that we presented at the committees last 2 weeks ago,
Sure.
and then earlier today at Public Works.
Are they able to see this on the video feed then, I guess?
No.
They're not?
Oh, okay. Let's go ahead.
way to show it on live stream.
Okay. We need picture in a picture.
Picture. Do you want to do the
Sure,
first couple slides, Jesse?
I will. And you guys feel free to stop me if you want to go into more detail. We wanted to highlight what changed from the original budget workshop. So there is an addition of a trash disposal fund. So what we will see in here is some revenues and expenses were pulled out of the general fund and they were put in their own fund, called special revenue fund, that's dedicated just for trash disposal. So property taxes have been reduced. And those funds have been placed in a trash disposal fund, and then the expenditures for collection and tipping fees have been pulled out of the general fund and put in the trash fund.
Wait. So you said it's been pulled out of the property tax? So is this
Just separated.
the creating the separate line item on the property tax bill?
Mhm.
Is that what that is?
Yes, sir. Now, we
Okay.
could do a separate line item, it's just an FYI, but this is actually a charge, a fee for the trash service. It would not be included within the property tax structure. So it's revenue neutral, meaning the property tax rate would decrease to create the trash fund, right? So that
Mhm.
at some point, there's a revenue neutral break even point depending on the valuation of your home. So property tax rate would decrease, and then everyone would have a flat rate for trash based on the cost of the service. So whatever it costs to provide service to one house, it's the same for every home. So I think it was $299. And so what we did is we took all the homes we have, times it by that $299. What is the amount of that revenue?
Mhm.
And then we pulled that out of the property tax rate so that
Mhm.
together it's equals the
Sure.
same. But based on your home valuation, your total bill with the trash fee and the property tax, your total amount you pay may go up or may go down.
So what's different about this than what we considered last year? Or is this the same thing?
It's maybe a different shade of vanilla, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's about the same.
Tastier shade of
It's a tastier shade of vanilla.
Okay. Is there an analysis on how that's going to impact the property tax bills for the citizens in here?
So Tamara did do a spreadsheet. It's actually something that Alderman Robertson had requested where the break-even point was. And so obviously it's built into the property tax rate. So all of commercial sees a decrease because they don't receive the service of trash. So they don't get the $299 fee, but they would be privy to a lower tax rate because that's applied uniformly across the city.
City tax rate.
Right, so, commercial sees a little bit of an advantage to it. Residential, the majority of residential, when you combine the fees together, it's more expensive. The homes that are appraised, I think at 471,000 and greater, their total combined bill comes down a little bit. So the break even's around
Appraised at what?
It-
And that was
471,000
prior to yesterday when the mail was delivered.
prior, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That's an important point.
So that's,
So-
the majority of the homes are appraised below 471,000.
Right.
So that's we'll walk through those slides in here, but that's the big change. There's some minor, expenditures and revenues, but
And
kind of minutia.
it's an important point that apartments as well would see the apartment owners as well on their property tax bill would not see the same number as well. Right.
Yeah, so
Right.
apartments are not privy to city trash service.
Right.
So it's still a commercial.
So they'll
they're
have
considered commercial.
they'll be removed from their property tax bill too, which would be probably pretty significant because they've got valuable property.
They get a decrease.
Yeah. Yeah.
So back to the break point, it's 470 is where if your home's less than that prior to the mail being delivered yesterday, then you will be paying more.
When you
Under this
combine the trash fee and the property tax rate, yes.
And
I mean,
the
that's
lower
me
value,
and probably all of us.
yeah, the lower the value of your home, the more of an increase you're going to see.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's going through some of the analysis, it really kind of highlighted, if it costs $299, it's what we figured it costs, about $299 to provide trash service to every home. And so there's some homes that maybe only get, $400, $500 property tax bill.
Mhm.
So, largely they're really paying for a little bit tiny more other than their trash service, if you were to itemize that out. And so they would have that fee would be flat for everyone. And then the rate would apply to the whole valuation of the home.
Since everyone's getting their new property tax bills, can we convert it to the new assessments?
Yeah, we'll have to we will get a lump sum from the county. I don't know if you got the lump sum information from the county yet so we base it on the appraised
No.
value of the entire city.
Okay.
So what that whole appraised
When do we
value-
expect that?
I have been told that generally from the time that the county sends out the updated appraisal notices that just went out this week, it usually is 2 to 3 weeks and we should have the information. But I haven't
It's coming
seen.
up really close.
Mhm.
And so there will be obviously it's the reappraisal year, that tax rate is
Mhm.
going to adjust for the city this
Sure.
year as well.
Yeah.
So, with a significant increase in the appraised value, you'll see a significant decrease in the property tax rate to be revenue neutral.
And beyond the city's lump, we don't know what the average increase to appraised values for the county was either. We have nothing to even guesstimate, except for our personal experiences, which is like,
I should not bring this up, but I read on Facebook it was 67% was the average increase across the county.
well,
And
Facebook.
Facebook never lies, right?
Everybody read that in blood. 67%.
That's countywide, correct?
And,
Yeah.
and the appraised values before, if you compared it to the market, were very low. And so while it seems like a significant increase, the appraised values did not match the sales price in the community. So it's a significant increase, but the appraised values were really low.
Yeah, they
And
were.
so, we will, the county will have to too. You'll have to figure out what that revenue neutral property tax rate is. And so you will adjust that down because the appraised value went up so much.
All right, you want to move ahead with
Sure, we can.
Cliff Notes?
So the PIT fund has been added, that's the half-cent sales tax, and then all the asset line items in the budget are detailed with exactly what they're going to spend on. I'm gonna kind of go through this pretty quick. The revenues have stayed pretty flat. We already did the workshop on revenues, so nothing about revenues has really changed, other than we pulled that portion of property tax, that $299 per home for the trash fee fund, calculate that, we pulled it out of here. So we'll see that in the trash fund is pulled out of the general fund.
Okay, that's why
That's why
it's
there's
such a big
reduction.
drop.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
So the revenues are actually doing better, except that property taxes. Go to the next slide, Tamara. This is a pie graph really just to highlight how much we get in terms of the proportion of sales tax and property tax together, even with this proposal of pulling the trash fee out. And this is just for the general fund.
Yeah.
They compromise 80%. Those two categories
Yeah.
compromise 80%. If the trash fee is added back into the property tax rate, it'll be significantly higher. So all the other fees that we charge are very small slivers of the pie. It really just boils down to sales tax and property tax. Go to the next slide. This is the change in the department. It shows a negative number here, but again, we pulled the expenditures for the trash disposal services out of here and put them in their own fund. So that's why we see a decrease here. You go to the next slide, Tamara. This is what the expenses by department. We do this really to highlight where the major departments are at, and that's public safety. So the city prioritizes public safety. You will see that police and fire make up over 50% of budgeted expenditures by department. Public works and parks are the next big ones. So between those are really the four big ones. All the other departments are relatively small when it comes to the budget expense. So the next slide. This is salaries and benefits by department. So again, it shows a priority by the city for public safety because police and fire consume most of salaries
Sure.
and benefits. Again, all the other departments are pretty small slices of the pie. This really shows that public safety is prioritized in this budget. This is budget by type, so operations, assets, debt services, salaries, and benefits makes up the majority of this. And having a large police and fire department, obviously that makes sense because that's the majority of those departments are salaries and benefits. Police and fire. General fund operating budget shows a surplus, so we are not in a deficit position on the general fund and on the operating budget. So it's over $100,000 in the black. Go to the next slide. This is the debt overview, and really it shows The column that says fiscal year 24 is much higher than the column that shows fiscal year 25, so we want to continue to stair step that down.
Yes.
The blue is the principal, and that like orange color is the interest. So that's just, again, that's a small sliver of the pie. We have really good debt, so our interest is very low, and we're chewing away at the interest.
Good.
Budget priorities. So this is an operating budget. It's a balanced operating budget. There is debt payoff. So there's $2 million less in this year than last year.
Yeah.
We are increasing the level of service. I think, the website is one everyone can kind of look at and see its great improvements. We're continuing to do online applications.
Right.
We just rolled out electronic payments to vendors, I think, last week.
We've got one that's slated to be paid this week with
Okay.
electronic payments.
Okay,
So our
great.
very first one.
Great.
Kind of catching up on technology,
Thank you,
and we programmed in this budget to continue those efforts
Mm-hmm.
to make it more efficient for us and then more user-friendly for people who interact with us. This is a list of some of the equipment and assets that we put in the budget. I guess I'll point to two things here, is maybe three things. Public Works has another limb truck and a bucket truck. That limb truck is going to help us keep our service more reliable. In times where we have heavy trees down to, it would be quicker because we'll have more trucks out there.
Sure.
They'll have a backup truck. The bucket truck is for our traffic signal technician. With the signal synchronization, a lot of the new equipment that we're putting on is going to be aerial, so it'll be up on the mast arm, so they have to get up high to work on them. Bucket truck allows them to do that, and then PD and fire, they both have significant equipment purchases. So PD has 20 vehicles, 2 message boards, and then fire department has that truck at about $1 million, and then 2 mid-sized trucks and 2 boat loaders for their boat. Okay, next slide, please. Paving is a significant priority for the budget at over $7 million, and this is because we added the PIP fund. So right now in the mayor's proposal, there are significant dollars that are put towards the PIP paving. Local roads has over 3 million, and parks has 300,000 for that PIP fund. And then trash collection, that seems like a no-brainer, but with a 36% rate hike, it's a significant dollar. So that had to be something that had to be prioritized to overcome a 36% hike. Go to the next slide, please. There are no new positions that are included within this budget. So we're keeping staffing levels the same. No new positions. There is a 3% cost of living adjustment. I think last I looked, Social Security CPI was 3.2%, so it's below that. The year before, I think Social Security CPI was 8.7, and we did a 6% COLA. So we're below CPI both years. So we baked the 3% in, and then recruitment improvements. We have an 18-step salary schedule, which you start at the bottom, you work your way to the top. Recruitment for PD has obviously been an issue throughout the country. Fire department has seen lower interest in recruitment activity, so we are proposing to pull off step number 1, which is our lowest entry-level position, and make it a 17-step schedule, which is still a lot of steps, but it's better than the 18. And we can recruit, our police officers 2.5% higher than what we currently do. Go to the next slide. This is the PIP fund. Again, you guys can stop me if you want to go into more detail, but this is that half-cent sales tax. We're estimating it to bring in $8.2 million, and it's the majority of it, I think over 80% goes to public safety and paving. So what we talked about with the police vehicles, with fire prevention, the truck, the 2 vehicles, boat motors. Oh, that's a ladder truck. Oh, so that's
That's a ladder truck.
That's a ladder truck. That's a $2 million truck, not
Yep.
a $1 million engine. Significant amount of money towards paving. That's in line 15. For parks, there is 4 parking lots that are slated for paving, and then $500,000 towards a relocated maintenance shop for them. So in total, we're expecting this fund to have a surplus at the end of the year of $61,000. So all these things are due to the half-cent sales tax increase. Disposal service, this is that new fund we talked about. So here's where we'll see the revenue that we didn't see in property tax, and where we see the expenditures that we didn't see in the general fund. So this is its own fund called the Disposal Services Fund. And you see we collect right at $6 million. and I think that's at $299 per home, is that
Mhm.
correct? And then the disposal service and the tipping fees, those have both been moved from the general fund. The disposal service, that's our contract with Waste Pro. So our new 36% increase contract with Waste Pro is approximately 4.4 million. And then tipping fees, that's what we pay the transfer station, Republic or AAA transfer station in Nashville. That's 1.6 million. So we're spending 6 million, we're bringing in 6 million. We have a small surplus of 13,000, but that's really neutral. What's coming in is going out, and that's to pay for the surplus. So hotel motel fund, so we're kind of on the special revenue funds now. This is the 4% rate that you get charged when you're checking out of a hotel, what we saw on our hotel motel analysis. So we collect the money in this fund as well as a couple of other things that are tourism related. And then we expense the money, the expenditures are on activities that are tourism producing activities. Those are, the funds are restricted for use for things that promote and enhance tourism. So we have a surplus of $94,000 at the end of the year. We do have an employee who works exclusively on these events, so we charge that employee to this fund. So that's why we have salaries and benefits under the hotel motel fund.
Question, the hotel that's currently closed, have we heard about their efforts to reopen?
Yeah, they had mentioned that they thought it would be about 3 to 4 months before they opened back up. They were hoping to, but my understanding from other conversations I've heard is that they may not be opening 100% towards normal hotel operations.
Okay.
But when they told me that they were going to be down and out for three to 4 months, it put it right around July or August being back open. So I don't know if that's still the case or if there's been any change, but that was the last information that I had.
Okay, thank you.
Next one, we have State Street Aid. So this is gasoline taxes that the city receives. And we spend, these are restricted for roads. So we have a few guys who are dedicated and some equipment that are dedicated to just working on the roads. So they get charged out of this fund. Then we have over $1 million of paving that gets spent from this fund. On line 25, you can see we also have 2 salt spreaders and 2 plow attachments. And we have some salt spreaders and plow attachments, but we don't have them for our big dump trucks. And so this is the purchase for the big dump trucks to clear our roads if we have a freeze event. So we're well prepared for the next freeze event that happens.
And I do want to note that even though this does show a deficit, we have a fund balance that is available, and that deficit would be utilizing the fund balance that's in there for these restricted purposes.
Is that from this year?
It's from multiple prior years.
Okay.
It's been building over several years.
Do you know how much is in there?
Just
Probably not much more than what we're spending.
Not much
So
more
we
than
try
that.
to
So it's
spend
gonna be
most of
basically
that.
zero?
We try to spend
Most
most
of
of
it.
it so that we can pave as much as we can and fix the potholes out in the
But
streets.
that doesn't leave us great with anything for next year.
Well, we collect this on an annual basis. So we appropriate the expenses every year. So we pretty much, what we get in for the year, we try to spend for that year because it's restricted to just roads. So we try to do as much road repair.
You know, they gotta spend it to get it.
Okay, then how did we end up with this kind of surplus over multiple years if we're spending what we get each year? I mean, I could understand this previous year, maybe revenues were a little higher,
So
but
we budget to spend, but just because you assume that you have to do so much, guardrail or maintenance of roads, you don't necessarily spend your entire budget.
so this is
after this,
assuming you're gonna spend it.
that's
Okay.
assuming that we'll spend it all, and then that does leave us with about $150,000 deficit if that were to be fully spent. Or sorry, a $150,000 fund balance.
That's what I thought you said.
Yeah.
So the process, like if we damage a guardrail and we have to spend $5,000 over what we appropriated the budget, the process to do that is, 2.5 months through committees and
Yes.
so we try to anticipate as much of that while still being somewhat conservative, so that it's more efficient.
Okay.
We go to the next
Next
slide.
one.
please.
I know we're trying to jam through these.
Yeah.
This is really.
Oh, they'll
good
wait.
fun. We collect a few dollars for, when we pull bad guys over, and confiscate drug money and
Mhm.
and some things that are very restricted.
Yep.
So that's the drug fund. We collect less than $100,000.
Yep, and the majority of those expenses are to maintain and the canines.
I think it's very good that we don't have very much money in the drug fund.
Yes.
We don't wanna-
I know.
That's a good
They don't
thing.
come into Hendersonville to begin with.
Mm-mm. No, we don't.
Stormwater fund, this is a fund that is under Public Works. They manage stormwater, so, commercial properties get assessed on square footage. Residential, you get assessed as a residential dwelling unit. So most folks will see I think it's $72 that they'll see on the property tax bill. It goes into a fund that is restricted or used for just stormwater activity. So there's a couple folks who are dedicated to stormwater activities and some projects that are, so that's stormwater
Quick
fund.
question.
Good.
Why is projected 2024 only show 3 million? I mean, I see the original budget was 7.5, but now it's showing 0 in lines 1 and 2 on the 2024 projected year end.
So I was actually going to notate that the projects that are included on here have not been updated as of the time this was. I just met with the departments at the end of last week to go over the project budgets. So the revenues related to lines 1 and 2, those revenues are associated with the corresponding projects down on the expense side. And we have updated estimates for what we'll be doing by the end of the year. And then we're actually going to talk about that in budget workshop number 2, go over the projects in a lot of detail, which will include those stormwater projects.
Thank you, Tamara.
And then same thing, the surplus on there, we'll be using the available fund balance.
It is 7 o'clock.
All
Wow,
right.
gonna use all of that too.
And workshop number 2 will be projects and a couple of other things that y'all have not seen.
All right.
Okay, move to adjourn.
So moved. Voting done. Let's go. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
The mayor